to upload it. It's just automatically uploaded.
Yeah. I want to take off Thune because the more I think about it, there's really nothing to talk about.
Okay.
But just
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Belichick's Bitches Podcast, your number one podcast for all things football by some metric in the world. Using the best source, the only source. Do trust me. I am one of your hosts, Brennan, and along with me, as usual, is my co-host, Tyler.
hey guys, what's up? So, all ready for us to do some catch up? So as y'all know, we started at a weird point in the off season. This episode's mainly going to be about us just catching up on storylines throughout the off season. I think the biggest one come out so far, it wasn't a week ago, Patrick Mahomes' super extension.
Oh my lord.
That massive 10-year contract he signed just a couple days ago. He got $450 million, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe with the incentives, the contract goes above $500 million. I believe it's around $507 million, making him the highest paid player in any sport in the U.S. of all time.
Easily beat. Yeah, I think beforehand it was like Rendon, and he just destroyed Rendon's contract.
Yeah, I think it was by a good like $30 million or something like that.
It was rude. Yeah, that's, and actually, one thing not many people realize is that he still has 2 years left on his rookie deal.
Oh yeah.
So
and that contract, from what I was looking at, it's all backloaded. So he's on his first year on that actual contract. He's only counts for like I think it was like $10 million against the cap.
Yeah, they're gonna just keep backloading it, and I haven't looked at the contract details, and I don't know if the full details are out on it. I guarantee you they're gonna have opt-out years that they'll just push the guarantee money into signing bonuses.
Yeah,
kind of what New England did with Brady. Just kept pushing it off for like 10 years.
503 million, my bad.
2040.
With 477 in guarantee mechanisms.
See,
and Mahomes has the ability to get out of the contract if the guarantee mechanisms are exercised, and there's also a no trade clause.
See, but I think this contract would make it looks interesting is I want to see Lamar's contract now.
Oh yeah,
because he's in my opinion, he's in the same tier as Mahomes. No, and some people might say he's better. I don't know if I'd go that far.
No,
but he's in that same tier, so his contract's going to look even more ridiculous. And I think
it's crazy. It's crazy to see that. Maybe a few years down the line, this could become a more normal contract, which is insane to think about.
If you think about,
because with the way the quarterback contracts are going, how they just keep exponentially rising with no end really in sight. Even for just average quarterbacks, they're getting paid like they're elite.
Cousins and
Goff.
Dak. But yeah, I mean, you think about it. How many young quarterbacks have just burst on the scene last few years in the league? You know, especially now with Mahomes, Watson, Marr.
Yeah.
It's going to be. And you could even make a case for Kyler Murray if you thought he had that good of a year last year. But yeah, Mahomes. I mean, what else can you say about Mahomes' contract? That was insane. I was expecting more of like a 7-year contract.
Yeah. The thing that surprised me the most was 10 years. Holy crap!
That's the first 10-year contract given out since Michael Vick.
Yeah.
In 2004.
We still have all that worked out.
The only other contract that's even come close to this magnitude was Calvin. When he signed his mega deal, it was an 8-year deal.
Yeah.
So this is easily going to set the market for quarterbacks, and that's going to be scary for teams with these young guys.
Oh yeah, especially with the salary cap expected to decline over the next couple of years. It's going to be interesting to see how that works.
I think the NFLPA is fighting in the latest negotiations.
Yeah, I saw something about that on Twitter.
For a more stable cap next year because they know that it's supposed to decline.
Yeah.
They're looking for like you can take some of our salary away, which I don't think is going to happen. and then make the capping next year.
Yeah, I see it.
All right.
No escrow of 2020 salaries, a flat salary cap of 198.2 for 2021, spread revenue lost this year over 2022 to 2030 caps, all fully guaranteed money paid even if games are canceled.
Well, that makes sense because when guarantees,
the guarantees should be guaranteed. They're called guaranteed.
Especially in the NFL, when it's not like other sports where you get paid regardless. In the NFL, if you have guaranteed money, it means the team is going to pay you regardless.
Yes.
Unless they cut you. But, I mean, I see people arguing about that online. They're going to get their guarantees.
Oh yeah.
It's going to happen. What were your thoughts? I'm going to shift gears here on Jamal Adams.
So Jamal Adams, I thought that was really interesting. Something I wasn't really expecting, to be honest. I think it's a good move for Jamal trying to get out of the New York Jets organization, because their organization has been terrible, to say the least, over its entire existence. Maybe even that's overselling it as terrible. Probably even a little bit worse than terrible. But I've heard that the Jets are seeking a first and a third at least for Jamal Adams. And the teams that we saw that Jamal Adams would actually be interested in going to were the Ravens, Cowboys, Texans, Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, and Seahawks. And I have my own thoughts about each of those teams. But now there's a new part that's brought up, thanks to his teammate Le'Veon Bell, former Steelers running back. He thinks that Jamal Adams actually won't be traded after all, and he'll stay in New York as a Jet.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Jamal is top 3.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You could argue the best. I mean, you could argue the best.
I'd probably put him as the best, to be honest.
I mean, it's him, Derwin, and then after that, it's kind of pick your poison. But I think the thing about Jamal that kind of shocked me with the trade request is how he just wants to go to a contender. You could tell that from his list of he wants to win. And that's why I never saw him signing an extension after last year, after he had that great year. He was just as good of a pass rusher as some edge rushers, which is pretty sad. I knew right then and there he was never going to play for the Jets when his contract expired. He's a competitor. I think that's going to be interesting to see him with a competitor. I really want to see him in Baltimore. As much as I know I don't want to play Baltimore already, I would love to see Baltimore secondary with Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams and Earl Thomas on the back end.
He's still Earl Thomas. As long as he's not getting caught by his wife, he'll be fine. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and Tavon Young. You have a young rookie or young first-year guy in Anthony Everett. I mean, that's scary.
Not to mention their front seven.
That secondary. The front seven itself is just insane. And you also have those young rookie linebackers, Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison.
Yep.
I want to see him in Baltimore as a football person. I really want to see him in Baltimore.
I want to see him in Baltimore, Philadelphia, or San Francisco, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't want him to go to Philadelphia because, I'm sorry, Philadelphia fans, you're going to waste him. Okay? They're going to waste him. I don't want to see him go to Philly. Niners would be an interesting team. Him and Sherman in the same secondary be pretty interesting, even though, again, Sherman's on the decline. He was elite last year. Just ask him about Tyreek Hill.
The only team I really don't want him to go to, and this is for personal reasons, is the Chiefs. I do not want him on the Chiefs. He can fuck right out of Kansas City, please. No, absolutely not. Stay away.
See, I don't think anyone wants him to go to the Chiefs. I would if the best safety in the league decided to go to Kansas City and join up another top 10 safety.
And Tyrann Mathieu.
No. I don't need to see that.
I'm good. I'll pass. Hard pass, please.
I think one off-season story that made zero sense for me. He wants a new contract.
You just cut out, by the way.
Really? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but I was just saying you cut out.
Dalvin Cook wants a contract.
Dalvin Cook.
He's a running back. It's the only negative part. He's a great running back, and he's a running back. He's a running back.
He's a running back.
The easiest position. They're the easiest position to change.
By far the most replaceable position in the NFL, running back.
Definitely, and so many good running backs coming into the draft every year. You see really talented guys get drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th round that can usually compete day one.
Yeah.
He's looking for a contract. I think he'll get one from Minnesota because they're pretty good about locking up their hometown guys.
Yeah.
They're pretty good about that. I don't think it'll be a reset of the market like Ezekiel Elliott's was.
Oh, no.
I don't think you'll see that.
Or McCaffrey's.
Will be touched by a running back. Those 2 contracts won't be touched for a while.
Yeah.
Those guys are just special. I mean, special.
I
want to...
I'd say that McCaffrey is more valuable than Zeke is.
Saw a poll on Twitter. I have to bring this up.
Okay.
It makes me laugh. It was conducted by a Panthers fan. I'm sorry, I don't have the tweet up on it now.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
But it was, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to the 2017 or 2018 draft, and you had the choice between McCaffrey and Mahomes at number 8, they voted on this, and there was a lot of votes. And Panthers fans would rather have McCaffrey over Mahomes.
I think it was only like a 1% difference. It was like 51 to 49, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the fact that was even within 20% just scares me because as much as McCaffrey is the best running back in the league, and I don't think anyone will fight that.
No.
He's going to have to fight to play over 32.
Oh, yeah.
And that just goes back to running back. I mean, it's the most one of the more physical positions on the field. So many young guys always entering the draft, and normally 9 times out of 10, generational unless you're a guy like McCaffrey, Zeke, Barkley. And so when you see these running backs that are like borderline top 10 asking for contract extensions, always kind of feel bad for them because do they deserve the money? I think he does. He's never going to get the money he wants, but he'll stay with Minnesota. Probably get himself a nice little pay raise.
Yeah, this just reminds me a lot
of his injury
like...
history.
What?
Especially with his injury history, he has a whole bad season-ending knee injuries, like one in college and one in the NFL. I don't think he's going to get the money he wants.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the Chargers and Melvin Gordon last year. Same situation. Honestly, going back to an earlier point, in my opinion, no running back is worth over $10 million a year. Even 8 to me is pushing it, especially for those like hovering around top 10 guys. You don't want to pay those over $8 million a year. I think the only special case is McCaffrey. I think Zeke is good. I don't think he's over 10 mil good. McCaffrey is probably the only person I put in the over 10 mil running back, and I would only not go over 13, even for McCaffrey, just because of that dynamic ability that McCaffrey also adds in the passing game.
So I was about to say, McCaffrey is their number 1 running back, and their at times number 1 receiver.
Yeah, McCaffrey is the only one I consider.
Good as DJ Moore is not normally their number 1. It's normally McCaffrey. And he's right. I mean, McCaffrey is like on pace with Michael Thomas, within the same area as Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Receiving wise, that's insane. I think that's what makes McCaffrey so versatile. Is he's what people were talking about Le'Veon Bell was first holdout. Is he's the number 1 running back and the number 1 receiver. Number 2 in Le'Veon's case. Yeah.
I mean, his dad was a pretty damn good receiver when he played, so not much of a surprise. Shout out to Ed McCaffrey.
We're going to talk about both of our favorite players. I think right here. Prescott. Talking about
Rain
Mahomes
Dakota
earlier.
Prescott. Ooh, baby.
We were talking about Mahomes earlier, and I think I mentioned Dak in a little big. Wasn't trying to, but he's looking for a contract. Jerry Jones made a mistake by not signing him months ago.
Oh, yeah.
before Mahomes decided to ink his deal. Now that Mahomes inked that deal, I know Dak's not going to get the same money. And I don't think Dak's going to think he's going to get the same money. But he's going to point to that.
Yeah.
As a, hey, you need to up the offer. I don't think he's going to get... I think the rumors that he was asking for 40 mil, I think those were untrue. I think these ghosts came out to be untrue. But I don't think it's going to be untrue for much longer. I think he's going to be asking for it. I don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah.
I think the most likely scenario for that, I don't see him getting a contract. I see them doing what they did to Kirk Cousins. The Redskins did to Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a franchise tag him 3 years in a row and let him walk.
See, I wrote a whole paragraph for this.
Oh, dear. We'll let you get to that in a second.
All right.
But that's how I see it. I think Dak is the same quarterback as Cousins. I think they're very solid. They know how to play against under 500 teams. They struggle against teams that are over 500, though. And I think Dak has a pretty deep ball. Doesn't show up in the big games. Again, sometimes you can't knock him for that because he has had some rough... Like, when he's on, the defense is pretty bad. And when the defense is on, he sucks. Vice versa. But I think at the end of the day with Dak, he's going to probably be on the Kirk Cousins path. And I think he'll get a deal similar to Kirk Cousins when he does hit free agency. I think he'll get a 3-year deal, guaranteed. But, Jerry Jones, because the contract negotiations just got a lot tougher.
Oh, yeah. They exponentially just went up. At least in terms of probably guaranteed money.
Easily.
Alright, so here's my Dak spiel.
Dear.
I don't think Dak deserves the around 35 a year that he was asking for originally. He's an average starter. He needs a team around him to succeed in the same... He's in the same category as you said before, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Derek Goff. Derek Carr. Derek Goff. Derek Carr, Jared Goff, those kind of guys. Is it around market value for quarterbacks? Yeah, it is. But it doesn't make him worth it. Honestly, it doesn't. So many quarterbacks in the NFL right now are overpaid. He has a losing record against teams over 500. He only has 2 playoff wins his entire career so far? 1 or 2?
I believe 2, but could be just as more 1.
And he struggles in those games mightily against teams over 500. Not to mention, the salary cap, of course, could potentially drop next year, which would have him be eating more of a potential percentage of the salary cap than usual, which would be even worse of a scenario for the Cowboys as an organization. To me, he's more worth around maybe what Brady's getting, around 25 mil, maybe even a little bit less. I think that should be the market for those average or veteran quarterbacks that are on their last legs. This should be around the $20 to $25 million a year range. Obviously with more guaranteed.
I think going back to it, talking about a lot of quarterbacks are overpaid. It's true.
Because the
Cowboys have the money.
I think there's only a few quarterbacks I'd pay over 30. There's only probably 3 quarterbacks I pay over 30 million.
It's 7, 8, 9, over that.
Yeah.
Cowboys have a lot of contracts on their books. Have DeMarcus Lawrence, I believe, is on a contract. I believe Cooper's on a contract. I know Zeke's on a contract. So you're going to be paying this core a lot of your cap in the future. I'm not saying that's going to be tremendous to their cap if they sign Dak to 35 mil. I think if they get him for 35 mil, they'll probably be a little lucky. As much as I think I agree with you that he doesn't. Is it for 35 million? If the Cowboys get away with paying him between 30 and 35, they've won the deal.
Yeah.
Because
at this point,
he's going to point to Mahomes. He's going to point to Mahomes, and I know he's not in the same caliber as Mahomes. I think the only person who can even point to Mahomes at this point, say, "Hey, that's my contract."
Or Russell Wilson. Even though he already has a deal, but still.
I think he's years out from a deal. So, really, I don't want to dog on Dak because I'm not that dog on anyone. I have no say in it right now. He's not worth 35, and he's not worth 30. Who would pay him 20, 30? Range for me, I think it's a little. You're still overpaying a little bit. I think you're getting your money's worth around 20 to 25 to 30.
Yeah. Well, again, that should be like the market for those average to slightly maybe above average starting quarterbacks that aren't gonna win because of them, but they can definitely do some work if you have a decent supporting cast around them.
And there's really not much going on with our favorite teams besides New England having a little problem with it. I don't think anyone's talking about it. Is Joe Thuney.
Is it Thuney or Tooney? Because I've heard both ways.
Yeah, I've been saying Thuney for 4 years.
That's how it's spelled, so I always said Thuney.
I believe it is Tooney. Heard Thuney and Tooney. He's going to play on the franchise tag this year. We're probably going to have to pay him, even though we're already paying Shaq Mason, which is going to suck because I love both of those guys. I really am not looking forward to seeing his contract because he's going to ask for a lot. Oh, yeah. As he should, because he's a very good guard that nobody talks about. Very good. Really good against the run. His pass work's still a little iffy sometimes, but he's been the cornerstone of that offensive line ever since he came in. Anything going on in the Broncos? I think you said it was like Isaiah Simmons.
No, Isaiah Simmons is a...
You wish it was Isaiah Simmons.
I mean, that'd be nice. Justin Simmons, our star safety, so he got franchise tagged, and Justin Simmons and Elway and Broncos leadership have been trying to hammer out a deal ever since they placed a franchise tag on him. But now it is expected that he will sign and play under the franchise tag, and the Broncos and Justin Simmons will look to renegotiate a multi-year contract extension next season. That's pretty much the only Broncos news out there right now.
Wait for Newton. Newton was working out with N'Keal Harry this past weekend. That was really cool to see him and N'Keal, and I think it was Odell was still there, or trying to get the rumor mill going that Odell was going to New England. It's not happening. I wish. I'd love for it to happen. Odell, please come to New England. But happening. It was cool to see. Newton's looked really good in a lot of his videos he's put out there. He looks bigger than he was. Hopefully he's healthy. I'm not going to go too depth on Cam. You know how I feel about it. He should be the starter. And if he's not the starter, depression. That's pretty much it on New England. It's been a pretty drama for the Brady thing.
Yeah, I know Philip Lindsay was pretty pissed about the Melvin Gordon thing, but that's kind of died down.
Me too. Getting the lead back for 2 years, and they signed another former lead back. I don't know what you would classify Melvin Gordon as right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all the major storylines, I believe, that were this past off. There's probably a few minor ones. There's like the Raheem Mostert request.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert, yeah. Requested a trade from the 49ers. I don't know how to feel about that.
Because I respect the hell out of Mostert. He fought his way.
Oh, and he absolutely deserves to be paid more than just a special teamer. For what he did for them last season, he absolutely deserves to be asking for more money.
It's just, again, it goes back to, yes, he's a running back, which at the end of the day is always going to be a knock against him. But I don't see a trade market out there for him, sadly.
Yeah,
I think his skill set would fit on a lot of teams. Don't get me wrong, his skill set fits almost everywhere. But his market isn't there. Most guys have an established running back or have a young rookie that they're really high on. Or they have a backfill by committee approach that he doesn't really fit in. When you combine that, there's really not a trade market for Mostert at the moment. Now, of course, injuries all the time.
Yeah.
Could open up. But I think Mostert is going to probably play for the Niners next year, and I think he's going to be hopefully their feature. Him and Coleman, and then maybe a healthy Jerick McKinnon. I don't know how that's going to work out with McKinnon over there.
Yeah. He never seems to stay healthy.
Poor guy.
I feel for people. I
just
feel for
Southern.
those players.
Or just Southern, but I don't know how it's gonna work out.
Guys that can't stay healthy, I feel for them.
Yeah, and especially with these knees.
Yeah.
Poor McKinnon. I mean, McKinnon healthy. I don't think people remember him and Matt Asiata. That's probably a name you haven't heard for in a long time. Him and Asiata, when they were the 1-2 back in Minnesota, were really good. McKinnon would get them down the field, and Asiata inside the 20 was just a monster. So it does suck to see McKinnon not healthy anymore, because I think he's a really good running back. He still has 2 years left on his deal, if they do keep him, which is a good chance. I think his guarantees have already ran out. They're pretty much not paying him now. Hopefully he can get healthy this season.
One guy I really want to see healthy, but it seems very unlikely at this point, is Jake Butt. Because he tore his ACL in that bowl game, and man, it's just never been fully healed. It just keeps getting re-aggravated. I think he's only started like 3 games his whole career. I just feel so bad for him, because he was like a second-round talent that we picked up in the 5th round. Ironically, the pick right before George Kittle got picked. But he had such good potential, and his knee has just never gone back to any sort of playing level. He hopes that it's bad. He says it's 100%, but we've been hearing that a lot over these past few years, and it's just gotten re-aggravated every single time. I'm pulling for him. I'm rooting for him, mainly because I have his jersey, because it says "butt" on the back, and that's funny. But it's just a very crowded tight end room in Denver, and I don't see him making the final 53. Hopefully he can find a role somewhere.
We're going to talk about this team for injured players. Man, I miss Malcolm Mitchell so much. It doesn't feel like it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
And he was so good in his rookie year, especially down the stretch when him and Brady just had this, like, it was almost like watching how him and Edelman were when they first kind of started getting going. Him and Mitchell were just on the same page. You know, I mean, when Mitchell ran a route, Brady threw that ball and it was always in his chest. And I missed Malcolm Mitchell so much. It was such a shame that his career was cut short. It was looking like he was going to be a future wide receiver 2 for us. Long time. You get a Malcolm Mitchell jersey.
The Georgia boy.
I know he's a Georgia boy. New England likes their Georgia and Georgia Tech boys. So
it's very annoying to be a Georgia fan and see most of them go to New England. I'm being honest.
At least they get success up until this year. They're getting some success though. Right?
Yeah.
No, we got Sony Michel.
I can't believe you drafted the lesser of the 2 Georgia running backs first. Good job.
Listen. Don't remind me. I still love Sony. I love Sony too much. I can't be mad at that pick.
Chubb. I so wanted Nick Chubb in Denver, but you know, the Browns picked him before it was our pick, and we got Cortland Sutton instead. So I'm happy. It worked out for both teams.
Right. Now wide receiver number 1.
Yeah.
So who's your college? We're gonna do our weekly session. I think this is the 2nd week in a row.
Yep.
Us being productive. Who's your college guy to look out for?
So my college player to look out for this upcoming season, if we have a college season, will be Alaric Jackson, or Alaric, I don't know how it's pronounced, the offensive tackle out of Iowa. He is currently projected as early day 3, late day 2. If he has a good year, like I hope and think he might have, you could see probably him jump to late day 1, early day 2, like Isaiah Wilson from this year's draft. I think you can see that kind of jump from Alaric Jackson if he has a good year.
Okay. Well, since I'm doing the more flexible of the 2 sections, I get to talk about fantasy players y'all need to stay away from. And the fantasy player this week, I don't think you should draft him unless it's like in the middle rounds, way down there in the 7th or 8th. He is a tight end. Austin Hooper, the Cleveland Browns. He's like a top 5 tight end, but I don't think he. I think there's other tight ends out there, and I think when you draft a tight end for fantasy, if you're not getting one of those top guys, you're rotating by matchup.
Oh yeah,
and that's at least the strategy I take. I think that's the best way. That's one I've had the most success with. And Austin Hooper, I don't think is an every week tight end. I don't think he was that with Atlanta, and now he's going to an arguably worse team. So with that, especially with the tight end room, especially if they don't trade Njoku, and they also drafted Harrison Bryant, I don't see Hooper putting up tight end 1 numbers. So you're going to see him, especially if you're drafting on ESPN, he'll probably be like the 3rd, 4th tight end on the list. Ignore him, guys. He's not worth it. Go draft a filler running back or a flex player in that position, because I don't think Hooper's going to be the guy.
Or you can draft one of my potential breakout players.
Ooh, we're going to be talking about those later. Can't wait. We're actually going to talk about those now.
Yeah, we can talk about those now.
Finished our sections.
Yep.
Okay. Got players. Who's your breakout tight end? Let's break the ice with that.
Well, I think this is going to be kind of obvious. I'm going with Noah Fant. New offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur. You look at the work he did in New York with Evan Ingram. I think you can see very similar sort of success for Noah Fant in this scheme. I think he could be a very good tight end, numbers wise for fantasy if you want. I don't know much about fantasy, but I expect Noah Fant to have a breakout season, not like a George Kittle type season with 1,000 receiving yards, but I definitely put my my finger around 700 yards, maybe close to double-digit touchdowns. I'd put for Noah Fant this upcoming season. He'll be a lot more involved than he was last year.
That would be huge for Denver, especially with the new weapons they have. That would be huge, a 700-yard season. I think I'm going to get the obvious breakout pick out of the way for me, because it's New England. Juwan Bentley. Year 3 should be his season. Really take over the middle linebacker spot. Elandon Roberts, captain, departed for Miami in free agency. Hightower's only getting up there in age, and he's kind of you're seeing him more move to the edge permanently because his speed is starting to decline. There's really not much other inside linebackers. Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins are both gone. Are both 2 of our bigger linebackers from last year. And Bentley also can rush the passer, and he has pretty good coverage. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see him as the main coverage backer for New England this year. And he's a big boy, so he should be able to get the job done, get the New England bias out of the way. Who else you got for player?
I'm gonna go with another player that I have slight bias for. Mecole Hardman, the wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we could see Mecole. What?
I had him like on my number 7. We're going to talk about him today, but
I think Mecole could have a better year than he has been having. Well, better year than he had. This dude, if Tyreek Hill wasn't on the Chiefs, Mecole would fit in that role perfectly. He's so underrated just because he's overshadowed by Tyreek Hill. If he gets on the field, when he gets on the field, you have to pay attention to Mecole Hardman. Otherwise, he's going to burn you. He can also make good catches. There's just nothing that I really don't like about Mecole Hardman's game. And I really wish he wasn't a Chief. Mainly so I can see him more, play more meaningful snaps.
We're gonna go to the NFC South for my next player. Actually, I have 2 NFC South players, but this one, nobody talks about him, and I think it's just criminal. Jamel Dean, cornerback for the Buccaneers. He was amazing last year. over the last about 7 or 8 games. Listen to these stats. He played 13 games. He only started 5. He had 17 pass deflections. And he also had 2 interceptions. And he had about 22 tackles, which if you think about it, for over only 5 really true starts, that's really good.
Yeah.
He's fast. He runs like a low or high 4.3, low 4.4. Really fast guy. He's going to be the number 1 this year, especially with most of the other guys in Tampa Bay leaving. He's going to be the number 1 this year. Not many people know his name, and I think that's just criminal. He is going to be really good next year for Tampa Bay, and especially with Brady and Gronk kind of bringing the TV and the cameras to him. I think you're going to see Dean at the end of the year be one of those guys that you're like, well, where did he come from? Over there at corner. He's going to be really good.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I have another player for potential breakout. It's a player I have slight bias for. Will Parks, the safety for the now Philadelphia Eagles. He had a very limited role during his time in Denver. He was more of a nickel corner box safety kind of player. He filled that role for the Broncos. I think if he starts, this dude knows how to make plays. Will Parks is a playmaker through and through. I think he's extremely underrated. His athleticism is underrated. And I think he could do exactly what you need him to do at his starting safety spot. A play that instantly comes to my head when I think of Will Parks is we were playing the Steelers, and there's a wide open, I think it was, I don't remember which tight end it was for the Steelers, but he was running wide open. He catches the ball. He's at the 1 yard line. Will Parks comes out of nowhere, lays him out. He fumbles the ball out of the back of the end zone for a touchback for the Broncos. I think this is a game-saving hit as well.
We're going to be talking about one of my favorite players, and of course it's someone that plays against us in the AFC East. Preston Williams. He was an undrafted rookie last year for Miami. A big boy. And I think he's 6'3", 6'4". Might even be 6'5". I know he's one of those 3. Him and Fitz in the middle of the season doing really good together. Especially against, I believe, Buffalo. They had a really good game. Sadly, he did tear his ACL in week 9. So hopefully he can get himself back to the field this season. If Tua is playing, him and Devontae Parker should be a pretty good 1-2 for a young guy.
Yeah.
And Tua, and if it still fits, which I don't think it will be, if it still fits, that connection is going to be there immediately. No matter who's at quarterback, I think Preston Williams is going to be a really good player. And I know I didn't talk about him on fantasy, but I know I'm going to be drafting Preston Williams in the later rounds.
Uh-oh. Not again. Not again. This happened again. Can we not make this a weekly occurrence Discord?
We always have to have our technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. Okay.
Sorry.
We have no problem. We have one more breakout player. I think that we will really need to talk about. What you got?
This one's more of a joke, but I'd really like it if he did break out. That'd be Scotty Miller, the receiver for the Buccaneers. We know how much Brady loves his short, white slot receivers, and Scotty Miller's got some wheels on him. I'd love if Scotty Miller just broke out of nowhere with Brady in Tampa Bay. I'd be so happy.
That would be cool to watch. See, I'm going to go on a little Brady tangent. As a Patriots fan, I want to see him succeed, but I really don't want to see him Super Bowl. Because that would hurt. At the same time, if he wins a Super Bowl, I wonder how the GOAT debate would go. How that would happen. Sadly, gonna happen. My last breakout player. I really think this guy. Not many people talk about him trade this year because there's been a lot of other stuff going on. Hayden Hurst got traded to Atlanta this offseason. I think he is going to have a really good third year Atlanta system. I think he's athletically gifted. I think everyone knows that.
Obviously.
And I think he got overshadowed big time by Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. Those two guys. He still had a pretty solid season, but I mean, when you have one of the top 10 tight ends and one of the better blocking tight ends in front of you, it's really hard to get some snaps. So I think him in Atlanta, they're going to give him a chance to be the guy. And I think, especially with Julio and Ridley developing, I think there's a really good chance you see Hayden Hurst break out for like 700, 800 yards. People are going to be like, well, where did that come from? I think he's going to be really good in Atlanta system as much as but Matt Ryan, he's going to be really good.
Matty Ice.
You can't get on that this episode.
Well, I think there's like a. Let me look at this up. I saw something earlier. Hold on, it'll only be just a quick second. Only 2 quarterbacks in NFL history have at least 50K passing yards and 300 passing touchdowns in their first 12 seasons. Matt Ryan and Peyton Manning. Not saying Matt Ryan's Peyton Manning. I'm just saying that that's a stat.
Anyway, we're just gonna move on from that. That is a debate for an episode of its own. Its own episode. Oh, this is something I wanted to tell y'all guys. Anyone that's actually listening, pretty much caught up the off season because we did start at a weird time. So the episodes are going to get a little shorter. That might be a good thing for you guys because you don't have to listen to an hour and a half of us rambling on.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep these episodes. I think we're about 42 minutes in right now.
Yes, we are 42.
Per take. So I think we'll try to keep it around 45 minutes per episode. Then when the season gets back up and momentum, hopefully there is a season. Once it gets back going up, we're going to increase the episode minutes again. Until then, this is about how long the episodes are going to be. You're going to see us talk a lot more about diamonds in the rough, maybe some bust guys that we don't think are going to do as good. And me and Brennan kind of have a little idea. We're going to start doing positional rankings.
Yes. Good.
And we're going to be putting up against each other.
Good.
There might be some arguments.
just
really
a few.
Haven't had any arguments.
Not really, no.
No, but we haven't really been talking about anything controversial yet. Boy, is that going to change. I promise you that will change.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thanks again, guys, for listening. I know it's a little short episode. We appreciate you guys listening.
Absolutely.
And spread the podcast. You all love the podcast. Spread it. We're trying to make this grow. Us coming back every week. And, hey, thanks again for listening.
Yeah, thanks all y'all for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Belichick's Bitches.
Belichick's Bitches podcast.